Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Hardcore Survival. This is episode 7 and we are starting off the episode right away by getting an elytra. I have plenty of blocks plus a stone cutter if we need to make them into slabs, but for starters we just need to get in there. Alright, made the platform a little bit bigger up here as well. We can now throw an ender pearl through here. And we are on top of a chorus plant. Interesting. But it looks like our way home is going to be right there. So what we're going to do is quickly just save the coordinates of where we are. That way, when it comes to the point of us trying to leave, we know of at least one of these portals. Now we kind of just gotta start going in a direction. While we're in the end here, I did turn out my render distance. That way we can see miles away from here, and it should be a whole lot easier to find an end city. While we are here, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some of these. Oh, and right there looks to be our first end city. Let's head over there. And it looks like there's even another end city right behind it. However, it doesn't look like any of these are having the end city boats. All right, well, let's just start off by getting these guys up in front and try to also get around these. What's good is we can use the shield, and it looks like this is like the first time I've ever blocked a projectile with a shield, but we can block these. That way we don't go flying in the air. All right, and then our first shulker shells. And I'm floating. Alright, this wasn't that big of an end city, only got around 14 shulker shells, but now let's head to the bigger one that's over here. Alright, but it looks like we got a bridge over to this next area here. So we just gotta hope that my pinky will not give out on us. Alright, we are now coming up on end city 2. Let's get in here. Oh my god, those are a lot of shulkers. And here it is. We have located a end city with a ship, and if you don't know, the ships are what have the elytras at them. Alright, I think what we're just gonna do is dig in. Kill this guy instantly. And there she is. The almighty elytra. Sky's the limit. Now that we have an elytra, we will be able to do so much more in this world. As for the loot, we got a decent sword. It's got Bane of Arthropods. I'm not really going to take that. An efficiency 4 Unbreaking 3 shovel. That's actually pretty good. I'm going to take that. Another fire prop 4 chestplate. I think I'll leave that. Same thing with all that stuff. I really don't need any of this. We'll take this just because, but I don't think we're going to really be needing this. But now I'm going to go ahead and loot the rest of this end city, and we'll see how many shulker shells we can get. All right, got the whole thing looted, and I did fly down a little bit, but that's... Now I'm thinking we should try to get out of here, but you see, I've relogged since, so I don't have those coordinates, so kind of got to just look for a new way to get back. Finally, we found one, and it looks like there's also another one in the distance. I've been looking for so long. And now all we should have to do is ender pearl through that, and that didn't... Okay, maybe it did work. I did make this into a staircase, that would just be a little bit easier. But now we just gotta jump through the portal, and we're home free. Alright, we're gonna need a mending book, as well as an unbreaking book. Combine them together, and now we have ourselves a maxed out elytra. And now let's take our first flight and look at our base from the top. And now I'm looking at it, that tree does look a little weird. But something else that I haven't mentioned just yet is that we are now in 1.18. And if you haven't been living under a rock within the past year, you would know that there are insane caves now underneath the bedrock. Before, this was bedrock. We can now go below it, and if you look, we are now into the negative numbers. But instead of exploring our area and seeing what new caves we have here, let's go ahead and build a new portal and have ourselves our own little 1.18 district with all the new insane mountains and caves, so we can see what that all looks like. Alright, then all we should have to do is dig in this direction, and this should all be new terrain since all of our other portals are in that direction. Alright, this should be a good enough distance, went about 300 blocks out, and hopefully it's not close enough to all of the land that we explored in the first episode. Alright, and let's look. We are on a stony shore, which is one of the biomes that has been updated. Alright, but let's just take a fly here, and it looks like, judging by this hill, that we're in new generation. But one of the main things that I want to find here is a big cave, because I want to get my hands on a lot of copper, which means we need to find a dripstone cave. So for now, we kind of just gotta fly around until we find a cave that looks decent enough. All right, now we kind of just gotta hope that we find a dripstone cavern somewhere. Looks like we're opening up into a bigger cave, and it looks like we have a lush cave though. You can check this out. And here we are in the lush caves biome. And even though it does look like this one's got a decent amount of copper, so we can pick this up while we're here. Now this is something that I have not gotten yet, and that's the glowberries. How do I harvest this? Do I have to right click? There we go. Now I got glowberries. And this is what we're looking for right here, the dripstone. It looks like there's also a geode here as well. Crack this open. This is our first geode inside this roll as well. I'm super excited to be able to work with the amethyst. But we do have all this dripstone now, so let's try to get the most copper that we can. Now this is what I'm talking about. Look at all the copper that is in this vein. Now we could find these caves underneath the base as well, but there's not going to be any caves that are going to lead to it, meaning we'd have to dig. And it looks to me we found some diamonds. Got a 3 vein, not too bad. However, being down into the deep slate levels, we're not going to get a lot of copper, so unfortunately we got to stay up here. I mean, just look at this, a huge dripstone cavern leading into this mine shaft. This is just so cool. Looks like we got a big vein of the deep slate copper. This is going to be very rare for us to find. Now look at this. You come down and then you just get greeted by this. Imagine having to deal with these caves without an elytra. That would be a little insane. I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate this. Look at this ravine. It goes right down into a dripstone cavern, and it is filled with copper. This is a lot of dripstone here. There's even a mine shaft going through it. So for after not mining that much, we got a good amount of copper. And trust me, this isn't even half of probably what was down there. This is a total of 698 copper ore blocks. And that's just the start of it. There are plenty more in there that we could grab. But for now, we're going to go ahead and store this in our brand new shulker boxes that we can now craft. But now I want to go ahead and explore the terrain and try to find one of the newer mountain biomes. Because these new mountains can go pretty much all the way up to Y200. Looks like we have found an ocean monument here, and I really don't want to be messing with that right now. Looks like we also have a mushroom island right here that has an azalea tree on it too, which means that there should be a lush biome beneath here. Looks like there's also another ocean monument here. And here we go, look at this. It's not the best looking mountain, but I mean, it's still a decent size and it goes all the way over here as well. However, it's still not the highest. The peak is at 170. All right, but I don't really want to waste any more rockets doing this. So what I'm gonna do is fly directly up in the air to probably about Y1000 and then just pretty much coast all the way back home. All right, now we are at 1000. We can now just start coasting. All right, and we are home. Now what I want to do is take this copper and just build up with it and see how high of a just simple 2x2 this will take us. Okay, well, we're so high up that we can't even see the ground right now. So let's make our way down and fully look at this from the ground. Wow, that's pretty high. We can't even really see the top of it, I don't think. I think it's actually out of render distance. All right, but now we have to go ahead and mine this completely down with our Fortune 3 pickaxe. But first, let's mine our 3 deep slate diamond. And did we just really get 1 from each? We did. Well, that's a disappointment. So now that we got the whole thing mined out, we have 4 shulker boxes sitting in front of us, which means we have 1, 2, 3 full shulker boxes of copper, as well as about a third full of the 4th one, which means we have a lot of copper that we need to smelt now. So, which means we're going to have to build something for that. And what we're going to need to build is a super smelter. Now, to be very simple with this, we're just going to clear out a little section back here, and that's just going to have a simple door that is going to lead off into where we will have an input, a fuel source, and an output for our super smelter. Something like this should work. All I'm going to do is put some item frames down saying that that's the input chest, that's going to be the fuel chest, and then that will be the output chest. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is build a 16 long furnace array, which means we're going to need about 48 hoppers to make this work. Because of that iron farm, we'll have plenty of iron to do that, so all we need to do is do this. That's only 32 chests actually. We need a little bit more than that. All right, 58 should be plenty, and now we craft 58 hoppers just like that, and then we can craft the rest back into iron blocks. This box contains everything that we're going to need for the super smelter, so let's go ahead and build this up. All right, super smelter is built and got all of the copper built. Now we just have to actually craft this into the copper blocks. Okay, crafted it all up, and combining with what we had in here, that is how many blocks of copper we have now. This should be plenty for the ideas that I have that has to have copper in it. While I was waiting for that copper to smelt, I did go out and get a lot of dirt, in which we can use all the dirt for terraforming projects around the area, and so be it. And what I was thinking we do for our first little tiny terraforming project is that we actually currently don't have a pathway up to the trading hall. So I went ahead and I started a pathway that leads up here past the board and then kind of goes up through the hill. Of course, I haven't finished it yet. It's just kind of a stony path that leads through here and then all the way up to the trading hall. So I was thinking we do is kind of smoothen this out and kind of make a whole curved edge to it like this. All right, I got this side all smoothed out, and I did have to take out the waterfall because it just started flowing everywhere and made a complete mess in this area. But now let's replace most of this stone with dirt besides this area. I kind of want to make this look like a little bit of a cliff. All right, I got all the grass put in, and I also smoothed out this cliff a little bit. So then I also added in some slabs and everything to make it look a lot more smoothed out. But I took the grass and I made it go all the way up to here. Of course, it hasn't fully made it there yet. But now it is time to take the shovel and path up the entire way up. All right, got everything done, and we now have a nice pathway to get us all the way up to the trading hall. That way we don't have to either waste a rocket or climb a mountain to get up to the trading hall. And then let's just see what this looks like from the sky. And okay, yeah, that's looking pretty nice. So we need to start building up this place a bit more because we really only have one building here. Because if you look at everything else, that's more of kind of like a garage. That's just a full-on cave. These are pens, and that's a horse stable. So we need some more buildings here. So if we take the path right here and we start bringing it down here, we can build up our first building here. So I have gathered a whole bunch of materials for us to make up a blacksmith. So let's go ahead and let's jump into a time lapse and build up a blacksmith. All right, so we have gone ahead and built up a blacksmith here. So if you come on down here, we have like the workstation area to do anything with the anvil, smithing table. I put a cauldron in here, not necessarily saying that they would be using a cauldron. Maybe they're pouring like some lava in it or something. But then over here we have the forge, and of course it's smoking a little bit as well, and you got some lava in the back corner because it's too hot back there. And then you got a little bit of a storage down here in like the basement area. And believe it or not, this is actually the same amount of storage that we have in the storage room. I know, it doesn't look like a lot when it comes to this room. And then coming upstairs to the actual living quarters, we have ourselves a nice old computer over here, some bookshelves, and then just a simple bedroom. So that means this place is done. Sort of. As you see, we're using torches as lighting. Now, this doesn't look good at all. What I actually had in the build design is a mixture of a lantern right here, as well as some candles. So like one was like right there, and then we had a few more over here. But in order to craft candles, we need honeycomb. We don't have any form of that right now, because the only way to get honeycomb is through beehives. Lucky enough, we do have some beehives right here. Now, I don't know how many bees are in each of them, but we can easily find out by just placing them. So what I was thinking about doing is building up a bee sanctuary so that we can get all the honeycomb that we need, as well as any honey bottles if we need to make honey blocks. And probably the best location for us to be building this is going to be this little location back here. I've already started clearing it out a bit, in which we can just take this pathway, kind of veer it off to the left a little bit, and we can build the bee sanctuary here, and then maybe some sort of other house here eventually. Okay, so we can come in here with the dark oak logs and then do something like this maybe with probably a 5-block center. And then we can take this back maybe 3 to a double. We'll do the same thing on the other side and then bring it all the way around. And then let's probably take these guys up by 3 and strip them down. And I will say the new stripped dark oak texture is way better than the old one, and it looks a lot darker. Because before it looked very similar when comparing it to the spruce stripped log. These ones we can probably bring up to 4 because we're going to have a kind of roof going like this. Now we can just take some glass and do something like this. And then just leave a 1-block doorway right there. And then we can bring this at least up to 3 tall and then probably start making the roof out of probably some spruce slabs. Okay, we can start by doing something like this to bring it down a little bit. And then if we do the same thing on the other side and then bring it over like this, we get a 1 peak in the middle. And then after taking a look at it, it looks pretty good. Now let's do it on the farther side. And it looks like this one's going to have a 2-block center because we did it like this, but that should be no problem. All right, there's the outline. Now we just got to fill this in with probably some more spruce. All right, so we now have a building going on here. We just kind of got to do some like finishing touches on the roof here, but we'll do that in a little bit. Right now, let's go ahead and get some tables in here to put the bee nests on, which I just realized I left inside the cave. Okay, so we can take these trap doors and then do something like this, in which these are what we can put the nests on. And then to cover it up, we can put some trap doors here, as well as right on the edges. That way the bees won't be able to fall down onto the campfires and kill themselves. In which then we can hide all the campfires down there. Now let's do the same on the other side. All right, now we can make sure this door is closed, and then we can put in our bees nests. Well, that's not a good sign. Hopefully we still actually have bees in here because I know there is a bug in 1.18 where bees can despawn. Now whether or not that applies to when they're in nests or not, I'm not sure. But while we're waiting for those guys to come out, let's just make this place look a little bit better. All right, we got it all cleaned up and I even extended the path down here as well. And we have some bees buzzing around in here now. So I also added this barrel down here that we can take these shears and shear these down. So then we can take this honeycomb and combine it with some string and a crafting bench to make some candles. Then we can combine them with dye to turn them into the different colors of candles that we want. Now we can light these candles and that should keep everything lit enough that it shouldn't have anything spawning, because now all we have to look for on the side is light level 0. And it looks like it's only this corner, so for now we'll put a torch there and eventually we'll just replace that with a lantern. But now we can call the blacksmith 100% done. We just gotta clean up the mess. All right, everything is now cleaned up. All right, we got tons of stuff done today, including getting our Elytra, exploring all the new 1.18 caves, getting a whole bunch of copper. I mean, this is a lot. As well as building up a super smelter that should be able to function for a long time for us. And then coming down here, we have built up a full blacksmith in which we will have a villager working here pretty soon. And then we also have a honey farm back here in this bee sanctuary. That way we can make candles and we can oxidize copper. And then we also made this path that goes all the way up to the trading hall. That way we don't have to waste a rocket going all the way up there. Or we just don't have to climb a hill. But that's going to go ahead and end this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. Hopefully in the next episode we will be increasing the size of our storage room. Mainly because if you look, when I was cleaning up, I did have to start shoving things where they don't belong because we're kind of full. All of our chests are getting pretty full, so it's pretty much time for us to get a brand new storage room. So expect that in the next episode. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Goodbye.